Good evening, everyone. In 1688, the Germantown Friends sent a declaration to their monthly meeting, Dublin, stating that they would no longer enslave people of African descent.
Their monthly meeting sent that petition to the quarterly meeting, which sent it to the yearly meeting, which said, this matter is too weighty, friends, for us to decide. They said there were too many friends who were in relation to it, which was Quakerese, for they weren't going to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
In 1774, Warner Mifflin released over 200 enslaved Africans, and not only did he give them their freedom, but he compensated them as well.
In Philadelphia, where there were certainly a large number of friends who also were freeing the people that they enslaved, they tended to feel like the people were not quite ready to be independent, so they made sure that they received instructions in leading sober and thrifty lives.
In 1784, Abigail Franks was one of the first African Americans to be admitted into the Religious Society of Friends.
Her application went from committee to committee and up and down the level, and eventually, after 3 years, she was admitted with the recommendation stressed the fact that she was very light-skinned.
In 1837, Quakers here in Philadelphia established a school for African Americans, which became very well known for its academic excellence. The name of the school was the Institute for Colored Youth, which is now Cheyney University.
The Quaker managers who were among the business class, the business owners in Philadelphia Quakers, were very proud of the school and the international visitors and all that. However, they never chose to hire any of the graduates to work in their companies or businesses.
Abigail Franks was a Quaker of European descent who spent a lot of time and energy traveling around the country speaking out against enslavement. She was a very dedicated abolitionist.
Actually, it was Abigail.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Abigail was lovely too, but it was actually...
See? They wouldn't let me write it out.
It also proves how much we need each other. Miss Abby Kelly Foster, who happens to be from Worcester, Massachusetts, which is right down the road from me, so she's one of my favorite abolitionists, and she was active and did, as Vanessa said. However, she felt very unsupported by other friends who chastised her for being radical, for speaking out, for being inappropriate, and so she chose to leave the Society of Friends.
In Indiana, Quakers left their meetings and fought in the Civil War.
The letters that they wrote home showed that they didn't choose to fight for the moral purpose of freeing slaves and ending enslavement. They were fighting to preserve the Union and possibly to get off the farm. That's for Barbara, who's from Indiana. No, they were, they were the 18-year-olds, and they decided that they would look elsewhere for some excitement and go fight in the war.
In 1933, Swarthmore College admitted and gave a scholarship to the student from Philadelphia who was the most excellent student in the city.
And Lucy gave us permission to just have a little After he was told that he wasn't going to be welcome at Swarthmore, the president of Swarthmore, who's Frank Idelot, received a letter from a company in Baltimore that was monitoring what was going on with colleges and African Americans. They wanted to save African Americans the embarrassment of applying to colleges that weren't going to admit them. So he sent a letter to Swarthmore and said, "What is your policy concerning African Americans?" Having read in the newspaper that they just refused the student. And the president wrote that there were no rules against the admission of Negroes. He also wrote that Swarthmore is a co-educational residential college, and so it would be more difficult to make a Negro student comfortable there. And he could be comfortable in a larger institution, but not one that was such an intimate residential setting.
In 1952, Grace Cunningham was a student at Earlham College, where her father, Clarence, was the first African American to graduate from Earlham College. And that was her senior year at Earlham. During her senior year, she got engaged to another senior there at the college.
The senior happened to be a Quaker of European descent. The college president and other administrators called the two of the men, and individually actually, and first told them they were very irresponsible to do this. It was creating enormous problems for the college, namely with the alumni who they needed to get money from, and also told them if they were married, they warned them if they married that they could not have a happy life. It wouldn't be fair to their children. And they actually told Robert to go home the second semester of his senior year and allowed him to come back and graduate, but he couldn't be there during that term.
And what we learned while we were doing our research was that they did indeed get married. They got married after they graduated, and actually, as far as we know, are still married today.
So there.